So one of the questions that's come up several times recently in the supporters of Leah Remini group on Facebook is, what do Scientologists think about the military? Do Scientologists join the military? And if yes or no, what are the reasons? The answer to this is pretty straightforward. Scientologists are absolutely encouraged not to join the military. So let me briefly explain why. Hi everyone, welcome back to Growing Up in Scientology. So this is an interesting one because Scientology holds up L. Ron Hubbard's service in the military as something for Scientologists to be proud of. They promote it at any public opportunity that they have. And yet at the same time, Scientologists are absolutely discouraged from joining the military. I guess the way the church would try to explain this is that L. Ron Hubbard's Navy service occurred before he ever came up with Dianetics and Scientology. And yet something that L. Ron Hubbard wrote for Scientologists is the aims of Scientology. And the aims of Scientology roughly are a civilization without insanity, without criminality, and without war, where the able can prosper and honest beings can have rights, and where man is free to rise to greater heights. That's like a little paragraph that is supposed to summarize the aims of Scientology. Former Scientologists, people who've never been in Scientology, they can listen to those aims and sort of see the hypocrisy and the contradiction between the aims of Scientology and the behavior of Scientology. To Scientologists, they absolutely believe in these things. They do not see any contradiction. They do not see any there's no cognitive dissonance involved as far from their point of view. That it makes perfect sense to them. So the aims of Scientology include a civilization without war. That gets interpreted to mean that anything that contributes to war is against the aims of Scientology. Now, somebody could argue having a civilization without war is not the same thing as having a civilization without armies. You could argue that the presence of armies could act as a deterrent to war. The argument could be made. And yet, as it stands in Scientology, the way this is interpreted is that joining the military is contributing to this game of war and is against the aims of Scientology. This isn't like some very, very deeply held belief that Scientologists have of being anti-military. This is really kind of a superficial thing because it just doesn't come up very much. Scientologists are not out trying to join the military. However, in the few instances that I'm personally aware of that it has come up, people in the organization, the person's auditor, the person's ethics officer, the person's case supervisor, basically the people responsible for this individual, took great pains to convince them not to join the military. And this actually goes back to even the book Dianetics that Hubbard wrote. It was supposed to be the science of the mind. It is very much not a science of the mind, but that's how Dianetics is framed. In Dianetics, Hubbard attributes everything that is bad in society and civilization on planet Earth to the reactive mind. And he defines the reactive mind as basically being a subconscious mind that everyone has that is composed of moments of pain and unconsciousness, and these are called engrams. And that these recordings are made of moments of pain and unconsciousness and everything that is said and done around the individual during these moments. And that later in time, years, decades later, these engrams can be reactivated. He calls them being restimulated. And the content of these engrams and the effect that the restimulation of these engrams have on people's behavior, thoughts, moods, etc. He says this reactive mind and how this thing works is the cause of everything bad, including war. So Scientologists believe that helping people get rid of their reactive minds is fundamentally the solution to war. And so with that understanding, you could sort of see how a Scientologist wouldn't go, I know what I need to do to make the world a safer place or keep the country safe. I should go join the military. That is not how they would be looking at it. They'd be looking at it as what they need to do to keep the country safe or make the world a safer place is to just get more people into Dianetics and Scientology and get more people Dianetics auditing and Scientology auditing and get rid of everyone's reactive mind. So that is really the fundamental belief that the reactive mind is the cause of war. And that Scientologists believe only they have the tools to get rid of the reactive mind and therefore get rid of the cause of war. It is that belief that does create this undercurrent in Scientology of no one is encouraged to join the military. I have never heard a Scientologist ever encourage anyone to join the military. I do not know. The whole time I was in Scientology, I did not know, I had no knowledge of any Scientologists who were actively serving in the military. It was definitely poo-pooed. And to take it one step further, if anybody ever had any involvement in any military intelligence of any kind whatsoever, they are prohibited from ever getting Scientology auditing for the rest of their life. People who have had a history of being involved in military intelligence are called illegal PCs, or illegal pre-clears. And a pre-clear is a term for somebody getting auditing in Scientology. And these people are considered like second-class citizens. This comes from Hubbard's paranoia that the government and the military and the Pentagon and the CIA have this practice of implanting soldiers and military intelligence officers with subconscious suggestions using pain, drugs, and hypnosis to turn them into sleeper agents, and then send them into Scientology to infiltrate and create trouble and plant evidence and all this kind of stuff. You can't make this shit up. This is literally, like, Hubbard's paranoia on this was so deep that literally anyone who was involved in military intelligence is never allowed to participate in Scientology auditing for the rest of their goddamn life. And that is enforced. This is not just something that gets paid lip service to. Like, this is for real. So, you know, if you're a Scientologist and you believe in all that stuff, just imagine how you would look down on someone who literally wasn't allowed to get any Scientology auditing, when that's like the entire purpose of Scientology, is to do auditing, get auditing, give auditing, you know, move up the bridge to total freedom, up the levels of auditing. So you take a look at all of that and you get a sense of how military service is not encouraged. So I actually don't know if you're in the military in a non-intelligence role and you get promoted or transferred to intelligence, if you're even allowed to say no. If you're not allowed to say no, then you can see just hands down why Scientologists would be told not to join the military. Okay, so I just wanted to keep this to a quick one question, one answer. That's the best answer that I've got for now. If I think of anything else, I'll throw it in the comment section down below. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.